All right, we're live. What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, a Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans by fans. I apologize for the whole setup here. We are transitioning to a brand new studio. So we're here. We're not drinking any beers today, but we're having fun, and we are here now. So welcome in, everybody. Calvin, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. New setup. New technology. I'm not a computer person, so I apologize. What's up to everybody in the chat?
Yeah, technology is great when it works, not so great when it's not working, but that's okay. We got it all figured out. What's up to everybody here? What's up, Mike, Tokashi, Jim, Jeff? Welcome in, everybody. Thank you, guys. And yes, I did get a haircut. Sass, what is up? Good to see you here. And Patrick. Yeah, we got a bunch to talk about today. We're going to talk about Keegan Murray winning Summer League MVP, undergoing some minor wrist surgery. We're going to talk about the signing of Matthew Dellavedova, the final Kings roster, the pursuit of Donovan Mitchell for the Sacramento Kings. The Kings signed a new partnership with 50 Cent, one of Calvin's favorites, and they're trying to buy the River Cats, I guess. And then also we'll give a shout out to Bill Russell, RIP Bill Russell. We'll give our thoughts on him. But we have a ton to talk about today. So Calvin, let's dive right in here. Also want to remind everybody that is watching right now, please make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it, and we appreciate all your guys' support. So Calvin, let's jump right in here to Keegan Murray in the Summer League. So I want to hear your thoughts of his overall performance. We can talk about the MVP award here in a little bit in the wrist surgery, but I'm a Kings fan. Let's talk about the good news for the Kings, and that's Keegan Murray seems like the real deal here.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do, right? Like, he had a lot of pressure on him for it being Summer League, and a lot of Kings fans maybe either wanting to draft another player like Jaden Ivey or wanting them to more assets plus a guy like Keegan Murray. So he definitely had some sort of pressure on his shoulders just to go out and look the part, and that's exactly what he did. He stretched the floor. He showed his versatility offensively, scoring as well as defensively. He led the Summer League in points per game. Like, he checked all the boxes. He showed why he's ready to step on an NBA floor today or tomorrow. And I think that's all that Kings fans needed to see. Of course, it's Summer League, right? So you have to temper your expectations a little bit, not get too high or not get too low. It was the same thing with Davion last year. He was Summer League MVP, and he got off to a slow start, and people were questioning whether he was the right pick or not. So, it's still to be determined what he's going to look like ultimately. But I think as a fan, you have to be pleased with what you saw from him at least.
Yeah, I think that was a great point you brought up in the fact of, like, everyone needs to, temper themselves here. Just because Keegan Murray won Summer League MVP doesn't mean he is going to just be this, like, amazing player off the start. You mentioned Davion Mitchell did that last year. We didn't see him really turn it on until later on in the year. So great to see the progress he's made so far, but it's only the start. Once he starts playing with real NBA players, we'll actually get some thoughts here on what he will be able to bring to the Kings this year. I just want to talk about the elephant in the room here a little bit, Calvin. Everyone's talking about my hair. It's gone. Yes, I did get a haircut, and it feels amazing. I actually have had short hair my entire life. My dad was in the military. It was always a buzz cut, short hair. I decided to grow it out during the pandemic. All the barbershops were closed. And it was fun while it lasted. If you haven't had long hair once in your life, try it out. But it definitely brings some appreciation into a lot of different things, and just, it's the little things you don't think about. For me, it's sleeping, not having the bun behind my head or the hair in my face, being able to just, rinse off right after I jump in the pool or playing basketball, snorkeling the ocean, not having it in my face. It was a lot of fun, and the ladies loved it. But I do have to say, Calvin, It feels great. And you got long hair now too. So Calvin, let down the locks, let down the curls. At least we have somebody on Royal Rebounds that has some luscious hair, right?
I'll carry the torch, yes, as you have officially passed it to me now. I'm not going to let my hair down right now. I washed it, and it would probably be all over the place. But
how many likes till you put your hair down, Calvin?
Royal Rebounds locks. 30 likes, I'll put my hair down.
All right, you guys heard it. 30 likes, Calvin's letting the hair out. It feels good, man. It feels really good. And it's funny, you know, like I've been wearing a lot of hats recently because I love hats and I haven't been able to wear much with long hair. And all my hats, I got to like readjust the snapbacks. They're like 2-3 snaps further than they're supposed to be. So pretty crazy there. But yeah, let's get to 30 likes and let's jump right back into it. So yeah, great summer league for Keegan Murray. But everyone just temper your expectations. He is a rookie. Like, he is just getting started. He hasn't officially played a game yet in the NBA. Yes, he's looking pretty good. You know, you said averaging 23.3 points a game, 7.3 rebounds while shooting 40% from three-point range. All wonderful numbers, all things that Kings fans have been looking for and wanting, and we got it. And Keegan Murray is looking like the real deal. Monty is looking validated for his pick and for saying that he was the best player available at 4. But at the same time, it's early, right?
It is very early. I think there's also another thing that you can say was a positive to take away from Keegan Murray's summer league, and that is that he played against some pretty good competition for summer league. He went up against the number 1 and the number 2 picks in this year's draft in Boncaro and Chet Holmgren, guys that he's been compared against for a long time now, and he stacked up pretty well. He had good games in both of those games. So while maybe the overall competition level that he's playing against isn't what it is going to be, right, in the NBA, he still is performing against people that he's being measured against in his class and still playing well. So that's another good thing to take away, right?
Yeah, shout out to my guy Skip here in the chat. What is up, Skip? It's good to see you, buddy. I hope you're having a wonderful summer. Beans brings up a great point here, Calvin. He says either Paulo or Keegan are winning Rookie of the Year, and no one else will be close. What are your thoughts on Rookie of the Year? I know it's early, but I love to ask you these questions. Who's winning Rookie of the Year this year?
I honestly think it's going to be a tighter race than people think. There isn't one person to me that really stands out head and shoulders above the rest of them. I think that there are a lot of people that are going to be in consideration for this. You could probably go 6 or 7 deep in maybe the top 10. You know, the Shaedon Sharpe injury, not that I was picking him to win Rookie of the Year, but he could have surprised a lot of people, I'm sure. Jaden Ivey is probably poised to have a good year as well. Chet could easily have a pretty good statistical year in Oklahoma City with there not being too many other offensive options on that team. So it's definitely a wide open race right now, I would say.
Yeah, Chet was looking pretty good also this summer. So we will see there. But my vote goes for Keegan. And Skip, yeah, my hair is gone, man. It's gone, but it's okay. I'm working on growing it out every single day. It's just whether I decide to cut it again, but it feels great. And I do have to tell you guys all, I'm running so much faster right now. It's crazy. I'm saving money on shampoo. It's been absolutely wonderful. All right, let's talk here a little bit about Keegan Murray. And he undergoes minor surgery to his wrist. James Ham posted a few days ago, according to league sources, Keegan Murray underwent a minor procedure on his right wrist to clean out some loose bodies. He's expected to make a quick recovery, and it will not impact his upcoming rookie season with the Kings. He's already on the court shooting with his left hand. Calvin, I can't shoot with my left hand. I'm absolutely trash with the left hand, so good to see he is working on that. But what are some minor loose bodies in your wrist?
That's a good question. I'm not a doctor. I would expect it to be, something like little fragments of bone, from a previous injury or something like that. It's basically just going up and cleaning, kind of like a knee scope. They'll go in and they'll clean up stuff around the joint and the tendons and the ligaments and all that stuff. It's not major surgery, but it just helps to improve, somebody's mobility or things like that. The good news is that he's, still going to be on pace to start the regular season, and no one seems to be too worried about it. So.
Yeah, normally when you hear that somebody's getting surgery, the last thing you think is that it's minor. But it seems to be, okay. He seems to have gotten through it without any
have
complications.
Minor surgery pretty often.
True. So Keegan Murray back on the court, shooting with the left hand. Hopefully he can shoot with the right hand soon. But I don't anticipate this having really any impact on his season this year. So good news for him. Next up, Matthew Dellavedova signs with the Sacramento Kings. They get their guy. We've talked about, I think it was Quinn Cook. The Kings were interested in. Now it's Matthew Dellavedova. He officially signs. He played last season in Australia, but he's back in the NBA. One of my favorite players when he was on the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James, won a championship with them. But Calvin, I want to hear your thoughts. What does Matthew bring to Sacramento?
Well, we were talking about this earlier in the chat while we were trying to get the stream set up, and it's pretty simple what he brings to the team, right? He brings veteran leadership, he brings experience, playoff experience, championship experience, a guy that knows what it takes to win in this league, and he can, pass some of that on now to two young point guards who are hungry and ready to, elevate their games and elevate this team to a contending level team. So that's I think easily what this guy is going to provide. I don't think anyone is expecting Matthew Dellavedova to come in and play big minutes or put up big numbers for the Kings. He is clearly on this team as a guy they can use if somebody gets into foul trouble, or a guy that's going to be there to kind of bring that veteran leadership, kind of like what we thought Tristan Thompson was going to do for Sacramento last year, right?
Yeah, I mean, this for me is basically more depth at the point guard position and defense, right? We've been talking about defense. The Kings need guys that can play defense, that can get up in other players, frustrate people. This is exactly what Matthew Dellavedova does, right? He's a pest. He's not quite a Patrick Beverley level defender, but the dude definitely has effort, enthusiasm. Like, that's exactly what the Kings have been looking for, and I think he's going to do a great job filling in for Dante DiVincenzo. Maybe not as far as like rebounding goes, but as far as like getting on the next guy, getting under their skin. I think he'll do a great job doing that, and I'm very happy to have him back in the league and here in Sacramento. I've heard a few things that maybe potentially the Kings aren't done making moves. James Ham said that maybe they have one or two moves left. Maybe this bringing in of Dellavedova to the roster signifies maybe they're trading a point guard or something like that. Don't want to throw any false rumors out there, so don't at me. I'm not saying that Davion Mitchell's getting traded or anything like that, and I'm not rooting for that, but they have another point guard on the roster that is capable. And let's talk about the final list of players that will attend training camp. Currently, there are 17 players on the roster. The Kings have used up both of their two-way contract spots, but they still have 3 more spots available for the training camp roster. So currently on the roster, we have De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Davion Mitchell, Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Chimezie Metu, Trey Lyles, Alex Len, Terrence Davis, KZ, I always screw this one up, Okepala, Chimezie Monarchy, I don't even know I'm so bad with names, Neemias Keita, Keon Ellis, and Matthew Dellavedova. Calvin, what are your thoughts on this roster? How do you think this ranks in the Western Conference? And with three spots left, did the Kings make some more moves here?
Man, that's a lot to digest there. First of all, just addressing this roster in general, it's very obvious to me that the Kings went out and did exactly what Monty said he wanted to do in this offseason. He wanted to make a reasonably big move in terms of acquiring a player that is a starting level player or above that, in terms of talent. They went out and they did that, definitely. They got two guys probably that you could use as starting level shooting guards in Monk and Herter, and they drafted Keegan Murray, who's an upgrade, I think, right now at the power forward position, just because they haven't really had a true power forward on this team for a couple of years now or a while. And then they did exactly what Monty said he was going to do in terms of they wanted shooting. That's literally every player that they acquired in this offseason is a good shooter or floor spacer. So with the exception of the two-way guys, and those guys were maybe some two-way guys as well on the court for their defensive ability. But they definitely are going to space the floor more. They're going to open things up for the two-man game with Fox and Sabonis. So I think those are definitely good things for the Kings to look forward to. The question for me is, how good are they going to be on defense? That's where this team makes an improvement or not. They were a good offensive team last year. So they've got to continue to build on the defensive side, and hopefully hiring Mike Brown and putting his system in place will help with that. As far as where do they stack up in the Western Conference, that's going to be a really tough question to answer for a while. I don't think we're really going to know that until probably December or January maybe. They've got to get some games under their belt, and I go back to points that I've made in the past about a lot of other teams in the Western Conference are getting healthy and expected to be a lot better. So while the Kings upgraded their roster talent-wise, are they going to be able to leapfrog some of these other teams that should also be coming back stronger this season? That only time will tell.
Any of these guys that you're more excited for than others? Like for me, just looking at this, off-season acquisition list, yes, I'm excited about Keegan Murray, but I think Malik Monk is the most exciting guy for me to add to this. This is a college teammate of De'Aaron Fox. We talked about last year, he was an absolute steal for the Lakers, shot incredibly well from three-point range. He's been on my radar for a long time. I'm ecstatic to have him here on the Kings, and I think De'Aaron Fox will be also. Is there a guy on this roster that really stands out that was like, that was a win?
I think both Herter and Monk were wins, just from the standpoint of what the Kings are trying to do offensively. Again, space the floor, improve three-point shooting across the board, efficiency, all that stuff. And he's a big body. He's not really known as a defender, but I think he's got the potential to be a pretty solid one. It just depends on playing into the system that Mike Brown has and how hard he likes to work. I think that this roster is going to be very competitive in practice with each other. They're all young. They're all hungry. And so I think Monk and Herter are basically a tie for me in terms of who I'm more excited about. I could definitely see, depending on who they end up deciding to start, which I think it will be Kevin Herter. But Malik Monk, in that respect, could be a Lou Williams type of guy off the bench for them, and maybe even a potential Sixth-Man of the Year candidate next to another guy who might be in that class in Davion Mitchell. So there's definitely a lot to be excited about, but they've got to start playing games for us to really, get the ball rolling on that excitement.
Is there a guy that maybe is not on the roster anymore that you think the Kings messed up with? They should have held on to that player and they let him go maybe too early?
No, I wouldn't say that. You look at the guys that aren't coming back from last year's team. Again, I think the people that replaced those players are all upgrades at their individual positions in one form or another, or multiple forms. So I like what Sacramento did this offseason, committing to exactly how they say they're going to play. They went out and they got the players to play that way. The question is now, can you put it all together and be a competitive team for an entire season, not just 10 games here, 10 games there?
Exactly. And I do have to say I'm pretty positive about this roster. De'Aaron Fox, hopefully he's got a whole year here where he is the man at point guard and he doesn't feel like someone else is trying to take his position. We have a full year of Domantas Sabonis. Davion Mitchell is another year progressed. And then you add in a bunch of these other guys too. So I am very, very high on the Sacramento Kings coming into this next season. I did not bet on them like I did last season. Last season, I bet the over on games won. I did not do that this year, but I am very, very high. And I think this roster has playoff potential. Whether they reach that point or not, we will see. But I think this team does have some playoff potential. But you mentioned injuries and all that other stuff. There's so many things that it takes to make the playoffs, right? It's not just we got a bunch of good players on this team. If you looked at the Lakers roster at the start of last season, you would have been like, playoff team. They missed the playoffs. So yes. I do like this squad. I think they improve this offseason. And I am picking them to, make it to the playoffs next season. But there are other things that can potentially happen. So want to throw that out there. We heard some rumors this week and last week that the Kings have been in pursuit of another Mitchell. This is Donovan Mitchell this time from the Utah Jazz. We saw them trade Rudy Gobert just a few weeks ago for a huge package. Calvin, are you hearing anything about the Sacramento Kings pursuing Donovan Mitchell, what it could potentially take to get a guy like that? And do the Kings actually have a shot here, or is their name just being mentioned as one of the teams interested, or potentially even worse, is Utah using the Kings as leverage to get a better deal from another team?
Well,
and we've seen that in the past too.
Of course. I was just going to say, anytime a team's star player or one of their top two players wants to be traded, or you're going into a rebuild, you're going to try to leverage the best possible outcome or return from that as possible, right? Like, you would be stupid not to. So, and as far as am I hearing anything about the Kings in Donovan Mitchell, I think all you hear right now are rumors for any team. There are obviously going to be a lot of teams that are interested in Donovan Mitchell, a lot of teams wanting him. One thing I think that it's important to kind of keep in mind is that the Kings have, when it comes to these bigger name guys wanting to be traded, whether it's Kevin Durant or Donovan Mitchell, the Kings have been mentioned a lot in those conversations, but they're being mentioned as kind of like the side chick, right? Like they're the third team that could help two other teams facilitate the deal. Exactly. So that is probably my best case scenario for Sacramento, whether it means landing Donovan Mitchell or just being a part of the deal. I don't see the Kings, willing to give up what it would actually take to just do a straight trade with Utah and or Brooklyn and get one of those two players. So they're going to be probably the third team involved, which may mean that they miss out on the big fish, but they get something back, useful in return, whether it's a role player or draft picks or something like that.
Yeah, I saw a few potential 3-team deals where the Kings were absorbing salary or doing something to pick up, a first-round pick or a young talent. The only trade I really saw with the Kings actually acquiring Donovan Mitchell was a huge package. It was basically, Davion Mitchell, Rashawn Holmes, Harrison Barnes, multiple first-round picks. Is that enough to get a guy like Donovan Mitchell? Maybe. If I'm the Kings, am I willing to give up all that?
Right now.
I don't know. And yeah, like we were just talking about Rudy Gobert, the trade package was absolutely huge for this guy. Do I think that Donovan Mitchell is a better player than Rudy Gobert? Absolutely. So maybe that package is even bigger. I saw people here earlier in the chat talking about Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Maybe we're waiting for those dominoes to fall. And after those dominoes fall, we'll figure out what happens to a guy like Donovan Mitchell and some of these other players. So we will see. We will definitely see. Kenneth says, are the Kings still getting John Collins from the Hawks? Any thoughts there, Cal?
It doesn't look very likely to me. I mean, if I was Atlanta, if John Collins was going to be traded, I feel like he would have been traded already. Atlanta's already made some other moves to strengthen their roster. I think they're going to try to run with their new big three now. So it's called, with Collins, Trae Young, and DeJounte Murray. So maybe John Collins does get traded before the start of the season. Every day that passes, you get a little closer to training camp. I think it becomes less and less likely. And as far as the Kings are concerned, I don't see any reason really for Atlanta to want to make that deal now at this point.
What's up,
especially
Patrick?
Since they've already traded another player to the Kings and Kevin Herter.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you figured they would have been included maybe in the same deal, but who knows? Yeah. What's up, Patrick? What's up, Alfie? Good to see you guys. Yes, we are at 18 likes, and I just want to let you guys know we have a brand new feature here on Royal Rebounds that I'm waiting to debut, but we got to get to 20 likes. We just hit 19. We need one more like before we debut this new
20.
feature on the channel.
I see 20.
You guys are absolutely going to love it. Are we at 20 likes already? All right, so let's open it up here. So I just want to let you guys know we've been listening to what you've been saying. And last season, I think one of the biggest comments we got was, guys, we want to be on the show. We want to be on the show. We want to have our voice heard. So guess what, guys? We got a brand new fan line. The number is right down below here. You can call that number during the show, and you can be on the show with us. You can interact. Everyone will be able to hear you. You can hear us. So somebody call the number right now, and let's hear from you guys. All right, so while someone's calling in there, Calvin, we might as well continue down our list here. Next up, we're talking about 50 Cent. Did you ever think you'd be talking about 50 Cent and the Sacramento Kings in the same sentence?
Probably not, no.
I do have to say, a few years ago, I went to Kings Lakers, and it was like the day before Thanksgiving. It was a nationally televised game, and T-Pain was doing the halftime show. He was doing bartender, all this stuff. I had a great time. It was fantastic. I'm hoping this news may equate to more similar situations like that. So it's official. 50 Cent inks a partnership deal with the Sacramento Kings. He's basically bringing his wine and spirits company called Sire Spirits LLC to the Sacramento Kings. They will be served courtside at Kings home games. He's also partnering up, I think, with a community outreach program, and he is also going to be curating special events at the Golden One Center throughout the regular season this year. So, hey, Calvin, maybe we'll get to see 50 Cent at a Kings game.
That would be pretty cool.
Wild, huh?
That would be pretty cool.
Wild. What's your favorite 50 Cent song? And don't say Into Club.
Oh, wow. I can't say Into Club? Man, I got a lot of good ones. Disco Inferno is a good one. Jeez.
Disco Inferno's great.
I mean, I got a lot of good songs from him.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a great one. Kenneth, what is live chat room on YouTube? I've never tried that before. I'll have to check it out. Does anybody want to call in on the show? We'd love to have somebody call in. We'd love to hear your beautiful voices and any thoughts, and maybe you can debate Calvin on who's the best player on the Sacramento Kings. Who knows? But it's your birthday. Yeah, another great song also. But happy to have 50 Cent, and I'm going to put this up one more time in case anybody wants to call it. Feel free. All right, next up in the news, the Kings ownership group is attempting to buy the Sacramento River Cats. They are located just across the bridge, just across the river from the Kings. Apparently this deal is might happen because the Kings and the River Cats would then be able to link up into partnership and advertising deals together. Calvin, is this interesting, not interesting? What do you think about this potential River Cats acquisition by Vivek?
I'm sure it would be more interesting to me if I still lived in the Sacramento area. I have not lived there or gone to a River Cats game in probably close to 20 years. So to me, I don't really follow or care much about the River Cats. I think it's, good for the growing the Sacramento sports brand, right? Like to have two obviously Sacramento named professional teams being owned by the same group and being able to, like you said, do whether it's sponsorship or advertisement deals together. That's probably a good thing for the business or from that standpoint. But as a fan, for me personally, again, it's not really that big of a deal to me.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been watching the River Cats since I was a kid. Maybe every once in a while I'll hear about them when like a player from the A's or somebody is brought down and they're kind of, working their way back up. Just excited to have them in the area. You mentioned, right? They're just across the river from the Kings Stadium. They're not quite downtown, but they are downtown. So power move here by Vivek, bringing in multiple teams together, and hopefully this helps. You know what they say, like a rising tide raises all ships. So maybe that can happen in this situation. But yeah, I'm a River Cats fan, I guess, right?
When's the last time you watched any baseball game?
Oh, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. I like baseball in person. And, if I'm watching a baseball game on TV,
it's more fun to go, obviously.
It's fun, but then it's like, man, I think the last game I watched
and minor
was
league
like
baseball
13
games are even more fun, probably, I will say, than major league baseball games to go to. The atmosphere, you're closer, the stadium's smaller. Yeah, I think they're really cool.
Patrick loves the new hair look. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. It's your birthday. Not yet, but it's almost Keegan Murray's birthday. And you know what's interesting, Calvin?
I think
just
that
looked
was
it
the
up
response
here.
to what's your favorite 50 Cent song. But
I know. I was just trying to use it in the transition here.
Okay.
Because I want to let everybody know that my birthday is coming up. And if you want to send me a gift, you're welcome to. But I was looking up here, and I didn't realize that Keegan Murray's birthday is one day after mine. So, very cool. There you go. August 19th, Keegan Murray. All right, let's jump right in here to the main subject that I wanted to talk about today, and that's Bill Russell. And, I'm a Kings fan through and through. I want to talk about the Kings all day long, every day. I'm also a basketball fan, but I'm just a huge Bill Russell fan, and I was devastated yesterday when I saw the news that Bill Russell had passed away. Really unfortunate. He's been dealing with medical issues for like the past 10 years. I remember he like collapsed and was dehydrated and a couple different incidents, but he's officially gone, passed away at age 88. I want to read some of his accomplishments here, but the list is so long. I don't even know how much to read, so I'm just going to start off here. 11-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP award, 12-time All-Star Game MVP, 4-time rebounding champion, defensive first team. He's like the first African-American coach in NBA history, the first to like coach and play on the same team, the first to win a championship and coach the same team, 2 NBA championships as a coach. He ended up coaching the Sacramento Kings back in 87, 88, which is when I was born, and right after the Kings had moved to Sacramento. I think he had a brief stint in the front office as general manager of the Kings, but just an overall awesome guy. I'm a huge Bill Russell fan. And Calvin, I remember a few years ago for Christmas, you got me an autographed picture of Bill Russell. He's still on my wall here. I absolutely love it, so thank you again for that. I also have a Bill Russell autographed jersey. But just one of the greats that doesn't get talked about enough. We all talk about the GOATs, and some people say, well, if championships matter, Bill Russell should be at the top of the list. And then, not that I'm saying I agree with that he is the greatest of all time, but the dude definitely broke down many barriers, and the things that people are doing today are only possible because of a wonderful person like Bill Russell. So I got to give a shout out to him. Any wonderful things you want to say about Bill?
Well, I mean, we could all go on and on, obviously. There's only good things to say about Bill Russell, and most of them have already been said, whether it was by you or somebody tweeted them out. Yeah, I'll just say I have always loved the game of basketball. It's been one of the only things that I've really been 100% all in and focused in my lifetime. And, the NBA is what it is today in large part because of guys like Bill Russell. He's the greatest champion on the court, and you can argue that he was one of the most, if not the most influential people for basketball off the court as well. His career accolades go well beyond the box score and how many rings he has. He was an incredible person and an incredible ambassador for the sport itself. So it's a very sad day to lose somebody like that. He lived a long and wonderful life, and I'm happy that, as they reported, he passed away peacefully, and he will be missed without a doubt in the basketball community. Everyone is in mourning for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I also forgot to mention Olympic gold medalist, 1956 at the Melbourne Olympics. Also important there. Averaged 15.1 points per game and 22.5 rebounds per game over his career, which is absolutely incredible. I don't think we're going to see a guy anytime soon average over 20 rebounds a game. But just overall awesome person, awesome player. He really did a bunch for basketball. And, we will definitely miss him. But we're not going to forget about him. That is for sure. All right, guys, let's open it up here into Q&A. If you guys have questions, we got answers. So feel free to drop your questions here in the chat. I'm also going to throw up this number one more time. If anybody feels like calling the number, I know you guys are all afraid. No one wants to be the first person to call in on the show. I don't want people to hear that I said some stupid stuff on Royal Rebounds. It doesn't matter, guys. I say stupid stuff all the time.
You can call in just to say hi to us, too. We just want to hear your voices.
Yeah. Call the number. Call it. Barry's hair was part of the Dellavedova signing. It was. I gave it up so we could get Matthew. I offered it for Donovan Mitchell. I offered it for John Collins. They weren't interested, so I end up including that for Matthew Dellavedova. That's what got him to come over from Australia. So I'm willing to take one for the team, Calvin. What can I say? Fernando says, do you have any predictions or analysts of Neemias Queta's future with the Kings? What's up, Key Kings? Looks like we have our first... Are you letting me go
on this? Sorry.
Yeah, we got our first call here, Calvin.
All right. We'll come back to that then.
Hello. You're calling Royal Rebounds.
Hey, Calvin.
Who am I speaking with?
My name is Ty. I'm calling
Ty,
from,
what's up,
Sacramento.
Ty?
Just wanted to say hi.
What's up, man? We can barely hear you there, but what's up? How are you doing?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to say what's up. You guys doing great. Haven't seen you guys on this channel in a while. I guess you guys been working on your other channel, or there wasn't just much content to talk about.
Yeah, it's tricky. We've been doing this for about 2 years now, and the basketball season is so demanding, right? There's like game. Calvin and I both work other jobs outside of this, so we put a ton of time into this channel. And the summertime, you have different events, right? There's like free agency, there's the draft, and then there kind of is a little bit of a lull where we can take some time off and relax a little bit. But we've just been moving the studio. We've been creating this new layout here. We have a bunch of cool stuff. We're going to be able to play PlayStation. We're going to have you guys on the phone here. We're going to have multiple guests. So we're working on a ton of cool stuff. But yes, we're back. We're here. We've been working on Basketball at the Bar. We're also on this channel, but we plan on putting out a ton of more content here coming up very soon.
Oh, right on. Again, thank you for putting all your hard work and livelihood into this channel. We appreciate it. Quick thought. What's your guys' prediction for the Kings' record? And how does it look like for a postseason, if there is going to be a postseason? And I want to say great haircut. Wish you all best of luck, and I'll take the answer off the air.
Thanks, man. Calvin,
you,
I'll let you answer that one.
Man, again, this is so hard to answer because it's not my question, or a lot of my answer to this question is not necessarily about the Kings. It's about other teams. Like, how good are the Clippers going to be with Kawhi and Paul George back? How good is New Orleans going to be with Zion back? How good are the Lakers going to be if they stay fully healthy? So, I think the Kings definitely, their roster is talented enough to win 40, 41 games, something like that, which would be an improvement, right, over the last few years. Are they going to get to that number? That's the question. Like, if I had to put a real prediction or real money on it, I'd say they're somewhere in the 38 to 40 win range this year.
Wow, Calvin. That makes me feel pretty good. That makes me feel really good.
I think they're going to be a very competitive team all year long and a tough out if they stay healthy down the stretch. Yeah.
Calvin and I, we went out to lunch today and we were kind of discussing, we were looking at the standings from last year and we were discussing, a few of the teams and, who's going to go up, who's going to go down. And, looking at the roster, yes, it looks like a playoff team, but as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of other things, right? There's health, there's luck, there's what happens with all these other teams, there's whether trades happen. You could even throw COVID in there, as we saw last year. What happened to the Clippers, right? The Clippers would have been in the playoffs, most likely, if Paul George had not gotten COVID. So if I look at this Kings roster right now, I look at the team and I say, yeah, on paper, it looks like a playoff team. Do I think they're going to the Western Conference Finals? No, but I think they have the potential to make the playoffs, but there are a bunch of other things that could happen. So the Kings need a little bit of luck. They need to stay healthy. Maybe they make another move here or not, but I love what they're doing. And I do have to say, I'm just going to throw this out there. This is the most talented Kings roster that I've seen in the past 10 plus years. So take that for whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with that. And one other thing I'll add, again, it's still speculation at this point. They have to put in the work and put it together on the court. But one of the biggest problems I've had with the Kings over the past, 3, 4, 5 years is I wasn't really sure what they were trying to do, what style they were playing. They seemed to be kind of all over the map, and sometimes it would look like two different teams within the same game. They're very committed this offseason to playing a specific way, opening up the floor for De'Aaron Fox and spreading it completely wide open with shooters. So that gives me a lot of confidence to think they brought in a new head coach. He can get the system together. Hopefully he gets them to play team defense. And if all of those things click together, then we're talking about a team that could really be looking at a playoff berth.
Yeah, and I'm just going to look back at that Lakers squad when they first were able to bring in LeBron James. They were like, you know what? We're going to think outside the box. LeBron's been surrounded by shooters his whole career. We're going to surround him with playmakers. And that totally fell apart, right? Then the next year they bring in a bunch of shooters. They look like a completely different team. I couldn't agree more with you, Calvin. With all these shooters, De'Aaron Fox is going to look like a different guy out there. Hopefully he can maintain that through the entire season. That's one thing that we have yet to see from him. We've seen him have hot starts. We've seen him have hot finishes. But he has not played the same throughout the entire season during his NBA career. So if he can do that, if Sabonis can stay healthy, if some of these role players can do what they're supposed to do, then yes, I mean, the future is very bright for the Kings. Alfie says, do you see the Kings as a mini super team? Calvin, I'm going to let you take that one.
A mini super team? Not yet. I think you got to have more than one of your big three have an all-star appearance, in order to be considered a super team. But they could develop into one, perhaps.
So you're taking Vladi's approach, right? This is a super team, just very young. We'll see what happens.
I mean, it depends on what you mean by super team, I guess. But yeah, they've got a ways to go. I would just be happy with them being a playoff team first, and we'll worry about super team later.
Yes, I agree. Kenneth says, why did the Kings draft Mitchell when they had Halliburton? Was trading Halliburton a mistake? This is a tough question, Kenneth, because you know, you're going to ask a bunch of different people and you're going to get a bunch of different answers. If I was in charge of the Kings, would I have traded Halliburton? No, I would not. But does that mean it's a bad move? Not necessarily. I think that Monty was very adamant that he was going to draft best player available, and he's kind of stuck to that, right? It's 3 years in a row that he has taken best player available. Whether you believe him this year that he really thought Keegan Murray was the best player available or not, that's what he said, and that's what he's done, is he's taken best player available. When you have a team that's been as bad as the Kings for as long as the Kings have been bad, you just need to get more talent on this team. You could look back at Luka Doncic. If we would have taken best player available, Luka Doncic would have been on the team, but they were taking fit. So was drafting Mitchell a mistake? No, I don't think so. I think that he's bringing in as much talent as he can, and he's seeing if I can make trades to improve the roster. I think they did improve the roster. So I'm going to say the Kings took Mitchell because he was the best available and they need to add additional talent to the team. And trading Halliburton was not a mistake because they brought in a potential all-star in Domantas Sabonis. Calvin?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think trading Halliburton was a mistake either because of the person you got in return for him. And I've said this a bunch of times, but I really believe that as long as Tyrese and De'Aaron Fox played on the same team, they were going to limit each other's peak ability. I just didn't like the fit with those two together in the backcourt. So it opened up the opportunity.
And you called that out from day one.
Like Malik Monk. I did. I didn't think that it was the right draft pick. And I kind of felt the same way when Davion was picked. But the difference is Davion was not a day one starter. Or he was not a guy that they were going to play alongside De'Aaron Fox. At least they haven't made that decision yet. So it just didn't seem to fit. The puzzle pieces didn't seem to fit for me. And then, of course, when you get an all-star player in return for trading Halliburton, like that maximizes the value of that pick, in my opinion. So.
All right. We got another question here by Brian Thompson. Shout out to Brian. Who do you guys think will be the starting five for the Kings? Calvin, you and I were touching on this today, just earlier. Before you give your thoughts, I'm just going to say, according to ESPN, the Kings depth chart is De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. Agree, disagree, thoughts?
I agree right now. I think training camp handles the answer to that question ultimately. The starting shooting guard spot, I would say, is Kevin Huerter's to lose, but Malik Monk had a great year last year, and he certainly is going to be, like you said, excited about playing with De'Aaron Fox. So if there's a lot of chemistry there and he outperforms Huerter in training camp and in the preseason, I wouldn't be surprised by any means to see the Kings start him day one at shooting guard. But if I had to make a guess, the most logical, I think, starting five is that five that you just listed.
Any situation where you would kind of lean towards Malik Monk instead of Kevin Huerter? Or is it size? Is it the size that's given him the advantage for you?
No, it's both the size and the track record. He's been, I think I saw someone in the chat, it was probably Sass, said he's been one of the better 3-and-D players in the entire league, over the course of his career, and he's still very young. So he's, not only does he have the size advantage on Monk, but he has the production advantage so far too. Monk had some pretty up and down years in the league, at least his first few years, or his first couple. Now, if he continues to build off of the success he had in LA last year, he's definitely capable of being a starting level shooting guard. But I think the job is definitely Huerter's to lose.
Calvin, I think we're over 30 likes here. What does that mean?
What doesn't? Oh. I was like, am I taking a shot or what's happening right now?
Calvin's letting the hair down for you guys. I know you guys need some hair in every shot. So unfortunately, I don't have it.
There you go.
Maybe I'll bring back a wig or something. But
receive.
Calvin's got it at this point for sure. Jeff says the Kings do have a lot of clutch shooters on the team, so we don't have to watch Fox go 1 versus 5 in the final seconds left in the game. I mean, he doesn't have to do it all himself, but, you know, if in a perfect world, he drives to the basket, takes on 2-3 guys, and he kicks it out to
exactly.
Barry,
you hit it perfectly. Teams are going to have a really hard time defending Sacramento in those late game or end of the shot clock, end of the quarter situations for that exact reason, because De'Aaron Fox is such a threat to get to the basket, and if you help, you're going to leave some really good shooters wide open.
Yeah, I look at it as like kind of the 08-09 Boston Celtics, where you had Rajon Rondo just driving to the hole every single time. He'd be right at the rim and kick it out to everybody, and they'd be making open shots like crazy. Sass has got a good comment here. Herder's nickname should be James Ham Jr. Like it or dislike it, Calvin?
I laughed when I saw that. I do like it. I think if Kevin Herder grows the goatee out, then maybe he can wear a fedora to the game or something pregame. He would be James Ham Jr. perfectly. That should be his Halloween
I'm going to text that to James Ham right now. I'm going to text that. I'm going to let him know you said that, Sass. That's hilarious. Skip says, and Herder has playoff experience. Monk said he has never been to the playoffs. Has he been? Did he make it once with the Hornets or no?
I don't think so. When's the last time the Hornets made the playoffs?
I thought they made it 1 year. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I thought they made it 1 year with Kemba Walker and got eliminated in the first round or something like that. I don't know. You guys look it up. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Kenneth says, biggest change for the Kings will be on defense. Just like you said, Calvin. How good do you think the Kings will be on D under Coach Brown? Top 15 defense, Cal?
Man, that would be such a huge jump for them to make. I'm happy if they're a top 20 defense, honestly, because they have been so bad. Certainly you're putting a lot of faith in Mike Brown, right, that he can get these guys to figure it out and play team defense. They have the types of individual players that should make up a good team defense. But again, I've said this before, defense is not – there's so much more that goes into defense than just knowing where to stand on the court. It's how bad do you want to be a good defender? How bad do you want to stop that other person? And you have to have that mentality all game, all season long. We know Davion has that mentality. I'd like to see it from a few of these other players, particularly De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, and I just want to throw it out there that, yes, defensive rating, you know, if you have a better defense, you're probably going to be a better team. But there's different types of defenses too, right? There's defenses that allow a lot of points, but they also get a bunch of turnovers, and then they can push the ball, and they get a lot of points in transitions, stuff like that. So is that something the Kings are going to attack? Are they just going to be, jumping passing lanes, trying to get the turnovers, trying to push the ball up the court? Or are they going to be like a half court, lock everybody down, slow the game down? I don't think that's the way the Kings are going to go, and maybe it doesn't reflect in their overall defensive rating, but I think that their main goal this next season is going to be getting turnovers, right, so that they can run in transition. It'll be interesting to see how that translates as far as like what ranking that makes them, right?
Definitely. That is totally how they should be playing. They should be looking to get stops or get out and transition opportunities, whether it's off a make or a miss, because they've got a lot of good three-point shooters, right? And some of the best three-point shots are transition threes, wide open.
Exactly. No Rashawn Holmes in the starting lineup. Yeah, unfortunately, I think Rashawn has lost that position. He's not a good enough rebounder. The Kings need rebounding. That's been one of their biggest flaws. I mean, there's a lot of flaws in the team over the last 10 plus years, but rebounding was huge. And Sabonis is an incredible rebounder. So I anticipate Sabonis to lock down that center position. I still think Rashawn could end up getting traded before the trade deadline, but he's on the team right now. I like him as a person. I like him as a player. I think he'll do wonderful things off the bench, but I'm not sure how much longer he will be with the Sacramento Kings. Any thoughts, Calvin, on that?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I've been saying all offseason, look for Rashawn to be traded, and it hasn't happened, partly because they need to keep some sort of depth at the center position. I know somebody was saying that the Kings have a ton of centers, but in my mind, I'd be much happier to have Rashawn Holmes as my backup center as opposed to Keita right now or Len. But I will say, if Rashawn comes out a little bit flat and Keita gets a little bit of opportunity, he could lose his playing spot on this team really fast because I think Keita is a guy that's on the rise. He's got a lot of ability, a lot of talent. Shot blocking ability, rebounding ability, and sets great screens, which is always a good thing for a guy like De'Aaron Fox in the pick and roll. So if he gets some minutes early on in the year and he looks good, we could see Rashawn fade into the abyss of the bench pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, and Felipe says, Holmes always thrives when he is challenged. What if he steps up and becomes a better player than Sabonis? Felipe, I would love that. I think everybody would love that.
Be a good problem to have, yes.
Whether it's possible, I'm not really sure, but everyone's rooting for Rashawn Holmes. It doesn't matter if you're a starter, if you're on the bench, if you never play, if you're on the Kings roster, I'm rooting for you to succeed and play as good as you can. So I always root for them. Thank you, Skip. It's good talking to you for a little bit. Hopefully we'll see you again soon, and we'd love to have you back on the show. But thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate that. Trait Fox Ox. We set up a Discord, but we really never use it. I'm not a big fan of Discord. I use Discord for like NFT announcements and stuff like that. As far as this channel goes, I don't think we're going to end up using Discord. We have a number now that you guys can call.
But you can't call in.
One more time. You can call this number if you want to call in and be on the show right now. Or you can hit us up via email. Just email the channel here in YouTube. We'd be happy to have you on if you want to Zoom in or anything like that. Our goal is to empower every Kings fan. We want your voice to be heard. So call the number right now. Might as well, right, Kel? And you don't have to reveal yourself either.
It's just a phone. Yeah, it's just a phone call.
It's just a phone.
Your face will not be shown.
Easy stuff. Easy stuff. Sass says Sabonis flirts with triple-double nightly. No way Holmes comes close. Yeah, I don't think Rashawn Holmes will ever be the passer that Domantas Sabonis is. But I guess you never know, right? You never know. You're saying there's a chance, Calvin, right?
A chance that he becomes as good as Sabonis?
Is there a chance?
For me, no. There is no chance.
0.001% chance?
No. Rashawn's going to be, 28 this year? I just don't see him making the improvements in his game necessary to get to that level. Plus, Sabonis is younger and probably still going to get better a little bit. So he's going to have an even further gap to try to make up.
Rashawn Holmes will never be a Domantas Sabonis, but he can be the best Rashawn Holmes that he can be. And that's all we want from him.
They don't need him to be Domantas Sabonis.
That's all we really want from him. Do you want to talk about Monarchy at all?
Yeah, I mean, another, I think, good addition. Like, clearly Mike Brown is picking his guys, right? He coached him on the Nigerian national team. They now have that kind of brotherhood with the other players on the Sacramento Kings that played for that team, so they've got some familiarity. He is, a UC Davis alum. was a great player there. So like he's a hometown favorite, a hometown guy. I'm not sure how much playing time he's going to get this year. I would say there are a bunch of other wings on this team that are going to play before he does. But, you need every player on the roster in order to make a winning team. So there's definitely going to be ways he can help them.
Sass says, who will be our best Nigerian basketball player? I'm assuming that's for this season.
For this
season. You want to throw a name out there?
I like KZ a lot. I don't know. Again, I think Metu will probably get the most minutes just because he's already played for this team, right? So he has maybe a leg up on these other two guys. But I like KZ's game. I think he could end up being the better player. I also like Metu's game. If he improves a little bit, he's got some potential to be a really good role player. But
he really
I'll take
does,
KZ
man.
for now.
Yeah, Metu. Like sometimes I see flashes out of this guy where I'm just like, wow, this guy could be the next Pascal Siakam. Like, he's got the spin move down. He's lanky. He's athletic. Like, I love what he does.
Very
And then there's other times where I'm watching him, I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? You look lost out there.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
he doesn't have the consistency, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about, right? Is consistency is the main difference, right? Like, if you were to look or take a poll of every player in the NBA, I will almost guarantee you that every single player in the NBA has had 20-plus points sometime in their career. Maybe not in an NBA game, but high school, college, these guys can all score. They've all been the best player on their team, on multiple teams. But the difference between the top guys is they can do it consistently. They can do it night in and night out. And the difference between, a good player or an all-star and a superstar is it doesn't matter what the moment is. They do it consistently. That is exactly who they are. We haven't really figured out who Chimezie Metu really is. We've seen flashes. We've seen some great play from him. But who is he going to be every single night? That is still what we need to figure out.
Yep. Yeah, I love what Key King said here about Jeff Green. I mean, that would be a great type of player for Metu to evolve into.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love me some Jeff Green. I started watching him on the Thunder. The trade to the Celtics, I was like, why? Why are you trading him? You have such a amazing young core here in Oklahoma City. You guys can kind of grow together. You start blowing it up. It turns out it saved his life because they did a physical on him. They found out he had a heart issue. They were able to correct that. The dude literally could have had a heart attack on the court and died. And, now that I say that, it reminds me of a friend of ours, Calvin, which is unfortunate. Rest in peace, Shea. Unfortunately, he died on a basketball court, which is very, very sad. But life is a crazy thing, right? And Jeff Green, like a blessing in disguise, got traded to the Boston Celtics. And then, I loved watching him on Cleveland. He's been productive. He never really turned into that guy that he really wanted to be and that everyone wanted him to be. But if Chimezie can turn into a fraction of a Jeff Green, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
Let's see here. Would you rather have Jaylen Brown or Ben Simmons over Donovan Mitchell? I guess the question should be, would you rather have Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons, question, or Donovan Mitchell? Yeah, Ivan.
Well,
Jaylen Brown,
I can
Ben
guarantee
Simmons,
you
Donovan
who I'm
Mitchell.
cutting out of the three of those. I know you know who I'm going to say gets lost on that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I think you'd rather have
or Donovan
Brown.
Mitchell. Don't give me Ben Simmons. Yeah, I would definitely rather have Jaylen Brown. That for sure.
You think the Kings still have a chance at KD?
No. I don't think the Kings ever had a chance at KD.
Here's a good question from Patrick. What do you guys say if we make the postseason? Do you think Mike Brown wins Coach of the Year? I'll let you go first, Cal.
Well, if the Kings make the playoffs, Mike Brown will definitely get votes for Coach of the Year. There is no chance that he wouldn't be at least considered. But that's a really tough one because, like, you know, look at last year, for example. Boston gets off to this horrible start, and then they have one of the greatest second half runs of any team ever, and they skyrocket up the standings. You know, there's always a chance that a team does something like that. So, you know, you're looking at Memphis's coach, Taylor Jenkins. They're probably going to be another really, really good team. Maybe they even make a run at the 1 seed next year. That would definitely give him some consideration. That's a really, Coach of the Year is an impossible one to predict, right? Because you just have no idea who's going to be the surprise, who's going to be the dark horse, which teams are going to be the underachieving teams. So, and then, you know, there's still, you could get teams like Miami or even Golden State. If they finish as the 1 seed in their respective conferences, do their coaches deserve to win Coach of the Year? So that's a really, really tough one.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, right? It's like, what happens, right? It's basically predicting who is going to be the surprise, because that is generally who wins Coach of the Year, right? Like you mentioned the top teams, Golden State, you know, one of these teams. The only way I see Golden State winning or the coach of Golden State, Steve Kerr, winning Coach of the Year is if they break the wins record, right? Like those top teams have to do something absolutely incredible for their coach to get recognized, versus you have other teams where, like you mentioned, the Memphis Grizzlies, they could be the number 1 seed and they're not predicted as one of the best teams in the league, even though they have a ton of talent. Does Mike Brown improve the win percentage of the Kings? I think so. If they make the playoffs, is he my pick? Yes. But I don't think he wins Coach of the Year unless the Kings are posting 50-plus wins or something like that.
Well, that's the other thing. Let's say the Kings do, by some miracle, win 50 games. What if New Orleans wins 53 games, 54 games, and they finish higher than the Kings in the standings? Is Willie Green going to win Coach of the Year over Mike Brown? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We don't get a vote on that yet. Hopefully soon we will. Kenneth says, you have Keegan Murray starting with Barnes. They're both really small forwards. Aren't Kings better with Murray off the bench? Can Murray stick AD on the Lakers? Need a big forward in the starting lineup. Well, Kenneth,
so who's going
to
be your 4 then if you don't start either one of those guys at the 4?
Yeah, and that's a good point.
That's my question.
You know, Harrison Barnes started at the 4 quite a few times last year. Not saying that's the right move or not, but I think the Kings have decided they're playing smaller ball. They're going to be running up and down the court. They can't really afford to have a big, slow guy at the 4 position. If the Kings end up trading for a guy like John Collins, I could see something like that working out. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Keegan Murray starting at the 4 at the start of the season. And if you put Sabonis at the 4, what are you going to put Rashawn at the 5?
Yeah, exactly. That was going to be my second question. But Keegan Murray is bigger than, well, he might not be bigger in like actual size, but he's taller than Harrison Barnes is. He has the height to play the 4 position for sure. Is he going to stop Anthony Davis day one? Probably not. But if Anthony Davis is healthy, there are very few players in the league, whether they're 7 feet tall or not, that are going to stop him. So that, I don't think that should be your decision on not to start him. Oh, he can't guard Anthony Davis. And then my other question is, I just don't see how you can start Sabonis and one of these other centers together. It completely takes away everything that the Kings worked on in the types of players they acquired this offseason with the style you would expect them to want to play, a run and gun, space the floor with shooters team. You're going to be taking away one of your best outside shooters to replace them with a person that really can't be relied on to score at all.
Yeah. Trait Fox Ox. I don't even know how to pronounce your name. Were you trade Fox for Ben Simmons and you change your name a bunch of times? I don't know. But you said, did anyone hear the Mark J. Spears prediction on ESPN on the Sacramento Kings? Well, you guys are in luck. I've been trying to figure out this new setup. Unfortunately, I don't have it quite done for Royal Rebounds, but I have it done for Basketball at the Bar. So I'm going to show you guys a preview of Basketball at the Bar, and we can actually play this Mark J. Spears video on the Sacramento Kings. So let me just make a few adjustments here, get Calvin in, and let's go ahead. Oh, one more thing I got to change. And we can go ahead and listen to the video now. We're also going to be watching post-game press conferences and all that wonderful stuff too. So take a listen. Playoffs?
Yeah, I don't think anybody can hear it, Barry. I can't hear it, so.
Oh, you guys can't hear it? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let me check one more thing here just to make sure. We're still working on things, guys, over here. Still working on things. All right. Anyways, he said the Kings are taking the hardware home. I will keep working on that, and we'll have it fixed for you guys next time. I apologize. All right. Any other questions we want to talk about here, Calvin? When will McNair get his extension?
There's definitely still some questions in there. Good. That's a good question. I don't have the answer for that one. He deserves it, I would say, though.
Yeah, I think he definitely deserves it. We'll see what happens. I've always been in the camp where your GM and your coach need to line up their contracts. So I agree with you. Should he get a 4-year deal to align with Coach Brown? Yes, because that's his guy. That's who he's riding with. And, let's say 4 years down the line, Mike Brown's not that guy. I want to, if Monty's staying with the team and done a great job, then you give him another chance and he can bring in another guy, or you start clean and you bring in a new GM and a new coach so that the next GM doesn't do the same thing that Monty had to do, and that's keep on a guy like Luke Walton for 2 years saying he's our guy and then firing him. What did he get fired, 13 games into the season or something, Cal? Something crazy.
Yeah, something like that. I think the Kings were 6-13 when he got fired, maybe.
Pretty crazy. You see any other questions there in the chat you want to answer?
You have any comments on Sac Republic FC?
Not a lot.
I didn't think so. Sorry, guys. Barry and I just don't follow soccer. I mean, to me, the thing about it was a great run that they had, and it was very exciting, and everybody was over the moon, happy to root for a winner, right? That to me is just the underlining point here. Is Sacramento sports fans are so desperate for a good team that they can really be all in on it and just be so excited about. It doesn't matter what sport it is. They just want to root for a winning team. So if the Kings can get to the playoffs, that level of excitement will get taken to a whole nother level.
Yeah, Brian, and it's nothing against soccer. I played soccer for a really long time. Calvin and I, when we were in college at Sonoma State, we actually both worked at an indoor soccer center in Santa Rosa where we played on a bunch of different teams. So we enjoy soccer, but for me, it's kind of a sport similar to baseball where it's it's only fun if I'm really there at the game enjoying it. And you guys know I'm pretty far away, so I don't get to make many trips to Sacramento, but when I do, I'm going to a Kings game. If I have a chance to maybe go to River Cats and then Kings, or maybe go see the soccer team and then go see the basketball team, I'd be open to something like that. But my main focus is basketball, specifically Kings basketball. I saw a comment in here, I think it's by Key Kings. Will Rico Hines leaving have an impact on the squad? As you guys may have known, Rico Hines is leaving the Kings for the Toronto Raptors. This was announced just under about a month ago. Any thoughts here, Cal?
I mean, it definitely has some sort of impact, right? Like the players always spoke really highly of him, not just in Sacramento, but around the league. He's a very well-respected person in the NBA circle. Clearly has a ton of experience and a good basketball mind. But I think the better question is, do the people that replace him have a larger impact, right? Because if they do, then Rico Hines leaving ultimately doesn't have much of an impact on the team. The question is going to be, the guys that come in behind him, are they able to make a bigger difference than he did while he was there?
Yep. Yeah, and we will see. I know I'm a big Rico Hines fan. I know a lot of Kings fans love Rico Hines, and he's one of the best, right? He's known as one of the best developmental coaches or assistant coaches in the NBA. What has that done for Sacramento, right? Not much. So I root for him. Yeah. I'd be happy to bring him back here to the Kings. But like you said, right, it's what's going to come in to replace him. Who's going to come in and fill that position? And, losses don't always fall on the coaching staff. They don't all fall on the players. They don't all fall on ownership or management. It's a collective together. So what group of players, coaches, ownership can we get together to help solve the problem that is the Sacramento Kings? We'll have to figure that out one of these days. We will. All right. Any other questions here? We've we've been live for over an hour already, Calvin. Hour 16. How long has Sac Republic been a thing? Just heard about this squad this year. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not a good person to ask that question to. Yeah, I haven't lived
me too.
in Sacramento
Your
for...
guess is as good as mine.
I think I moved out of Sacramento in 2005. So it's been 17 years, which is pretty crazy to think about. I lived in Sacramento as long as I've been out of Sacramento at this point, Calvin, which is absolutely wild. We got Doug Christie for defensive schematics. Yes, we do. Why did DiVincenzo not get minutes? That's an interesting question because I think he did get minutes. Maybe you're referring to why he was not maybe a starter? Any thoughts there, Cal?
Yeah, I mean, I would have said the same thing that you did. He did get minutes. The question I think most people had is why wasn't, when we knew that the Kings were out of playoff contention, why weren't they playing him maybe as a starter or playing him bigger minutes than what he was getting? He definitely got some run with the team. And the answer to why he didn't start, I don't think any of us are ever gonna know the answer to that question unless we had Alvin Gentry on this show and ask him directly. And even then, we probably wouldn't get the true, honest answer, right? So it's probably a combination of a lot of different things. And, obviously it doesn't really mean much because the Kings let him walk in the end. So.
Yeah, wild. I did not see that coming, that's for sure. I thought he'd be on the team for sure this year. I thought he was going to be the starting two guard this year. But that's okay. I'm still happy with what we got. I am good. Ivan says maybe the Kings were tanking, thinking DiVincenzo playing starter minutes might have netted them a couple more wins. I don't know if that's the case or not, but maybe. Yeah. Sass says, bring back the all-gold jerseys. And that reminds me, I don't know if it was you, Sass, or somebody else. I think I saw a question here. Oh, it's actually from Patrick. The Kings should bring back the 2002 jerseys. How do y'all feel about that? I agree, and I think that we are going to be seeing some new jerseys this year, right? Like the alternate changes this year, right, Calvin? It's like one more design. Feels like there's a new design every year.
Yeah. Well, there is. I mean, there's the city edition. There's all this stuff. They always have to come out with new stuff. But I am seeing a lot of teams, a lot of franchises are announcing that they're going back to their old school jerseys for this year. The Utah Jazz are bringing back the purple logos or jerseys with the mountains on them. San Antonio's going back to the Iceman, the George Gervin days with their retro jerseys. So do I want the Kings to bring back those 02 jerseys or the early 2000s jerseys? Absolutely I do. I think they're by far the franchise's best uniforms. I like the gold jerseys. I was never like a huge fan of them, but I certainly wouldn't mind to see them. I like that much better than just Sac on the front, as you know, Barry.
Yeah, we all know you're a big fan of the Sac.
Go Sacs.
Go Sacs. We're all rooting for the Sacs here. Man, I'm just trying to get this Safari sound working, but I can't figure it out. So that's something I'm going to have to work on later. But I'm definitely going to get it set up so that we can play post-game press conferences and all that fun stuff this year. We can all watch it together. So make sure you guys join us for every
Way too
single
maloofish. I like
postseason.
that, Ivan.
What is? The gold jerseys?
He said the gold jerseys were way too maloofish. I think that's funny.
Yeah, they were killing it there. Are you guys excited for 50 Cent? I want to hear if anybody's excited for 50 Cent. Do we have any 50 Cent fans out there? I mean, how often is it that the Sacramento Kings have a partnership with like a famous rapper, right? Maybe we'll see him, Calvin, when we go. Halftime show or something? Calvin hates Sac
Oh, whoa,
Town 'cause he's not
Sass.
from
That's,
here.
man, that's a little too far. That's a little too far.
Calvin spent a lot of time in Sac Town.
I did.
What's 50 Cent? 50 Cent is a rapper. I don't know if you missed earlier on in the show, but he signed a partnership deal with the Kings.
We came in late
So
there.
he's going to be doing some promoting. They said he's going to be curating events for the Kings throughout the season. I don't know if that means 50 Cent will be at the events or not, but maybe just his music. Where does 50
My guess is
Cent
he will
live?
be at less than he's there for. Oh,
Where does
I
he
have no idea.
live?
I mean, he's from New York City. I don't know.
It says he lives in New York and doesn't have a current. I don't know. I'll have to text Vivek and see what days he'll be there.
I'm from Davis, man. I went to the same school as Barry since 5th grade. I moved from Chicago to Davis, so I started there and then went to California. But I've lived in 5 states. I could probably say that I'm from 3 or 4 places, but I grew up in the Sacramento area.
He's from his mom. You know when the schedule comes out, Cal?
I don't actually know when the schedule comes out, but I'm
And
sure
yeah,
we could
Blue
find out really
Devils.
easily.
Blue Devils. I'm going to look it up here. Any other thoughts or words you want to kind of throw out here for the Kings and in our excitement for the season?
Wait, you're talking to me or the chat?
Oh, I'm talking to you. You're
Well,
my guy,
look,
Blue.
I think everybody's got to be excited about this season, right? Like, first of all, I think that's, as Kings fans, everybody, that's the best time of the year, right? Is the start of the year, because you're always thinking, is this team finally going to put together a run here and make a chase at a playoff spot? But look, their roster, as you mentioned earlier, might be the most talented it's been in close to a decade. So there's lots of reasons to be excited for this team. But again, they actually have to go out and do it. So I'll be more excited if they come out, if we're into November and early December and they're still looking like a good team and winning games.
Yeah. 50 Cent versus E40. Calvin and I went to an E40 concert. What was that? April 2019? E40 and
Yes,
Snoop
it was
Dogg?
April 19th, 2019.
Oh, yeah, April 19th. 50 moved to Texas. All right, we're getting a bunch of fun comments here in the chat talking about
40 wins is definitely
sorts of
progress. It's
stuff.
more wins than they've won in a long time.
Patrick, we're going to try and make it to opening night in Sacramento. We're going to try our best to be there, and I'll be back around Thanksgiving, potentially towards the end of the year. And then depending on what the Kings end up doing here, we'll definitely be back. If the Kings make the playoffs, Calvin, we're going to all the games, right?
Oh, of course we're going to be there. But yes, we really are going to try to make opening night whatever date that is. We'll find out eventually. But opening night in Sacramento, Barry and I are going to do our best to be there.
I bet you guys didn't know that Calvin was a rapper either, right? Calvin, when are you partnering with the team?
I got to probably release a couple singles and some albums first before that happens. But it's always been a hobby of mine, yes.
You wrote the song for our other channel, so that's pretty cool. And hey, we're up over 40 likes, so that's awesome. What are you doing when we hit 50 likes? Are you taking a shot or?
I don't have anything to take a shot of here, so I'll be prepared next time for you guys. Although it's going to look really bad now that so that you guys don't know this, but Barry and I are not in the studio anymore. We moved our separate equipment into our rooms, so that means I'm just going to be taking shots by myself in my room, which is not very exciting. But
I mean, I'm in the studio at Golden One, Calvin. Can't you see the arena behind me? I mean, I'm very close. Very close.
You're right.
I'm going to spend a lot of money on plane tickets
at
this
the
season.
Studio. 40 wins or die trying. I love it.
Your thoughts on Matthew Dellavedova, veteran signing after playing a year in Australia. He's back in the NBA, and he's here in Sacramento. Calvin, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll keep it short since a lot of you guys have already heard us touch on this, but it's pretty obvious why you sign a guy like that, right? He's not expected to come in and play big minutes for this team. He's not expected to produce huge numbers, but he's got a lot of veteran experience, playoff experience, and he's a tenacious defender, a guy that gets after it. So those are the types of qualities, personality traits that you want to see rub off on people like Davion and De'Aaron Fox. So he's there to kind of help mentor those guys, bring them along. And yeah, he's a rascal.
That's the perfect statement for him, right? He's a rascal.
It is.
He's a rascal.
So I think that there's a lot of ways that Matthew is going to help this team, but most of them are probably going to be off the court in practice, behind the scenes sort of a thing.
Yes. And speaking of practice, seeing him and Davion Mitchell go at each other at practice has got to be pretty entertaining. And also for all these other guys that are trying to make the roster. And that's going to help
De'Aaron Fox too, right?
Exactly. Or just getting into the league, or even guys like De'Aaron Fox that are already on the team, have already made it. Seeing those guys go after each other and other players in practice, it's contagious. It rubs off on guys. And, competition is what this team needs, right? Whether it's competition between themselves, whether it's competition with other teams, they need competitiveness. He checks all those boxes for me. So I'm very, very happy to have Dellavedova here on the team. Have you guys seen any of Davion's docuseries? I think I saw the very first part of it, but have you seen, Calvin? I haven't seen the rest. I need to check in on that.
Sorry, which documentary are we talking about?
He had a
Davion's?
Yeah.
No, I have not seen that.
Trust Your Work is what it's called. I saw the first part of it, but I haven't seen. It came out like a couple months ago. I haven't seen.
I know. Shout out to our boy Sacktown Pete. I know he's been promoting that a lot. We should definitely check it out.
Yeah, shout out to Pete. Also, want to throw it out there. I saw someone talking about rapper names and how these guys come up with all these rapper names. Calvin, I don't know if you remember at Holmes, there was a rapper. I think he was in, what class was he in? My Spanish class? I don't know if you knew him, but he went by the name Dollar Bill. Did you know him?
I did know him.
50 Cent was his favorite rapper. He said he was twice as good. Is this true?
It's not true. But it's a good name.
All right. We'll take a couple more questions here before we go ahead and wrap it up. Unless anybody wants to call in, I'm going to throw this number up one more time. We'll take one more caller if anybody wants to call in. And to everyone else that's watching right now, if you don't feel like calling in right now, you better save this number in your phone, because we are going to be answering calls throughout the entire season. You can call me anytime. It's basically on my computer. So go ahead and give me a call, and you can join us on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are really, really excited for the upcoming season. Once again, I want to apologize to everybody that's been missing us the past month or so, or 2 months on this channel. We've been busy. We've been working on basketball at the bar. We've been working on some personal things, stuff like that. But we've been building in the shadows. We've been building. So we have a new platform in terms of like layout. We have a bunch of cool new features. Hopefully I'll get Safari working here pretty soon. So we'll be able to play press conferences and all that stuff. So it's going to be an awesome season of Kings basketball. And hey, we're playing 2K too, right, Calvin? We have the new 2K23 comes out next month. I got it pre-ordered. We're going to be playing it here on the channel, doing Kings rebuilds. Hopefully we don't have to, but we're going to be having a ton of fun. So make sure you guys join us in for this. And I'm going to try and get Tyrese Halliburton on here playing some 2K with us. So we will see if that happens. And no, we're not going to be streaming on Twitch. We're going to be streaming right here on YouTube. So you can join us here as well. Ivan says Curry fears Dellavedova. You agree?
No, I don't agree. But Dellavedova's had some success against him in the past. If I'm Steph Curry, I don't fear anyone. But and I'm sure that's the mentality that he has as well.
What about God? Not even God?
No comment on that one.
I heard a quote from him saying he's a God-fearing
I'm not going to
man.
let you drag me down there.
All right, last question here. Is Monty done making moves?
Well, I think he wants to continue making moves, probably. I mean, I'm sure there are a couple other players that he still has his eye on out there, but it's not all up to him, right? I mean, we've talked about this before. Just because you think you have a good deal in place for another player or some assets or picks or whatever, it doesn't mean that the opposing franchise is going to see it the same way. So, and, we were talking a lot about the Kings being a third team in one of these big-time deals, perhaps like a Kevin Durant trade or a Donovan Mitchell trade, maybe. So, again, they're ultimately relying on multiple other organizations to get something like that done. So I think he still wants to make some moves, but I don't know how realistic it is in the grand scheme of things that he will before the start of the season.
Yeah, and I thought the last thing you said there is the most important part before the start of the season, because we know Monty is definitely going to be making more moves, right? Whether it's the trade deadline, whether it's next offseason, like he makes moves. That's what he does. But in terms of whether he's going to do anything in the next 2 months before the season starts, I'm really not so sure. I look at this roster and I say, why? Why does he need to make a move? He's brought in defense. He's brought in shooting. He's brought in a couple bigs. The roster's filled in. Yes, he has 3 more open spots for training camp, but I don't see him making a move unless it's a big move, right? Like, you don't need to bring in another shooting guard that's maybe a starter, maybe coming off the bench. You already have your starting point guard in De'Aaron Fox. I think you have your starting center in Sabonis. So unless you're making a big move to bring in a John Collins, a Kevin Durant, probably not going to happen. But I'm just saying, unless you're making a big move to upgrade at a position, I don't see any reason for Monty to make a move or any big move before the season starts. I just don't. Kenneth says still needs to get another playmaker. Yeah, I mean, you have a few playmakers on the team. Sabonis can make plays. Fox can make plays. We've seen some of these other guys as well. So I don't know if that's an immediate need at the moment, but you don't need to trade to bring in a playmaker either. There's plenty of guys you can sign and bring in somebody. All right, guys, we want to thank you all for joining us for another episode here of the World Rebounds podcast with Calvin and Barry. We greatly appreciate all your support. Please make sure you hit that like button down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you are a Kings fan, or if you're not a Kings fan and you just like listening to us ramble, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And please hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we put out a new video. We're going to be posting a lot more frequently here. I'm trying to put out a video every day or every other day, either on this channel or on our other channel, Basketball at the Bar. If you're not a subscriber on that, just scroll down below on this channel to look at other channels. Basketball at the Bar is our all NBA channel. Please go ahead and subscribe to that. I also want to remind you all, we are giving away a $250 Fanatics gift card on that channel. You watch that video, follow 3 simple steps. It's quite easy, and you are entered in to win that gift card. So thank you guys so much for watching. Calvin, any last thoughts before we let everybody go?
Great to be back. Thank you guys all for watching. Like Barry said, we are definitely going to be more on track here with getting more content out, more videos, more opportunities for you guys to join us. Things like calling in. It's a whole new season for Sacramento, and it's a whole new season for Royal Rebounds. So we are equally excited about both, and go Kings.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you all soon. And in the meantime, go Kings.